This is 3 News Daily.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to 3 News Daily. I'm Stephanie Haney here on this Tuesday, November 8th, which is Election Day 2022. And before we get to your election coverage, we need to tell you about something that happened in Bath, Ohio. There was a bomb threat to Bath Elementary School today, and that forced students, faculty, and staff to evacuate. Now, we do know that everyone is safe, no one was injured, and police are still investigating. School officials told them that they received a voicemail on Monday afternoon just before 5:30 claiming that someone was going to harm school property with explosives. Police say that they chose to evacuate out of an abundance of caution while the investigation is now still underway. We'll keep you updated as we learn more. Now to your election news. There are 2 issues on the ballot that everyone in Ohio will vote on today. So let's take a look at both of those, and let's start with issue 1. This was proposed after the Ohio Supreme Court ruled that bail set at $1.5 million for a murder suspect was too high. So if this passes, before setting bail, Ohio judges will have to consider public safety, the seriousness of an offense, a person's criminal record, the likelihood that they'll return to court, and any other factor that the Ohio General Assembly may require. Now, issue 2 is the other one that all Ohioans will vote on today, and it's an amendment to our state constitution. And if it passes, it would change wording from what it is now, that every citizen of the U.S. is entitled to vote in all elections, to saying that only citizens of the U.S. are entitled to vote in all elections. Right now, there are 5 states that have that only language in their state constitutions. Those states are Alabama, Arizona, Colorado, Florida, and North Dakota. And we do know that election officials are reporting a new early voting record for the state of Ohio. There have been more than 1.5 million Ohioans who requested an absentee ballot who already voted in person. Now, if you still haven't voted, polls will be open tonight until 7:30. And it's important to know your rights when you're there. Take a look at this. When it comes to making sure your vote counts on Election Day, it's important to know your rights. Since the beginning of 2021, 21 states have enacted 42 laws that make it harder to vote, like cutting back on early voting, adding requirements to register and stay registered, and making it tougher to vote for people who show up to the wrong precinct. That's not even counting laws like the one stopping people from handing out food and drinks to voters waiting in line to cast their ballots. Now, we can't control that kind of voter suppression in the short term, but legally speaking, on Election Day, no one can try to stop you from voting. Let's break down how to set yourself up for success, what's not okay, and what you can do if someone does try to interfere with your right to vote. Vote.org is an incredible resource where you can check your voter registration status, find your polling place, and confirm what kind of identification you need to have with you in your state, all before heading out to cast your vote. If for some reason you get to your polling place and an election official tells you that you aren't eligible or you don't have the required ID, then you can request to vote on a provisional ballot. Now, this should be a last resort, but if your only option is to vote provisionally, make sure you call your county board of elections as soon as possible and ask if you need to provide any additional information, like proof of ID, to make sure your vote is counted. Remember, as long as you're in line before polling places close in your state, you have to be allowed to vote. Stay in line, though, because if you leave the line, you may not be allowed back in. And it's never okay for anyone to try to intimidate, coerce, or threaten you while you're trying to cast your ballot. If you experience issues while trying to vote on Election Day, you can call or text Election Protection, a national nonpartisan group that defends voting rights, at 1-866-OUR-VOTE. That's 1-866-687-8683 for help in English. They also have lines for people who speak Spanish, Arabic, and Asian languages. Their volunteers can help you get past any barrier to making your voice heard. This is Stephanie Haney, Legally Speaking. Vote.org is an incredible resource, and so is our WKYC voter guide. So if you still need to get out and vote, you can check that out on WKYC.com. And you can also text the word VOTE to 216-344-3300, and then we'll reply with a link that'll go right to your phone. And while you're out voting, you might be wondering, why do we do this on a Tuesday in November? Why isn't it on a Monday or a Friday? And why don't we do it in August? So I did a little research, and here's why, legally speaking. Have you ever wondered why Election Day is always on a Tuesday in early November? Legally speaking, now it's because there's a federal law that requires it. It's Chapter 2 of the U.S. Code, Section 7, and it guarantees that Election Day for federal offices falls between November 2nd and November 8th, depending on the calendar, in even-numbered years. That happened in the late 1800s, partly to streamline voting around the country and stop elections held at different times in different places from influencing each other based on their results. But why a Tuesday? And why in November? The answer isn't based on any complicated legal idea. It's based on religion and farming. In the 1800s, most Americans were farmers, and holding elections in November didn't interfere with their autumn harvests. It also avoided making people travel in winter in the bitter cold. Speaking of travel, a lot of these farmers lived far away from their polling places. That meant most people had to travel at least a day to cast their votes. Making it a Tuesday rather than a Monday avoided religious complications for people who didn't travel on Sundays, the holy day of rest for most Christians. And it was also important back then to make sure Election Day never fell on the first day of the month, even if that was a Tuesday, because the first of the month was an important bookkeeping day. That's when merchants balanced their books from the previous month. Now, there's never been a federal law in the books about when elections have to be held for state and local offices and issues, but most places stick to using the federal election date because it's just easier. And that's why, all these years later, Election Day is always on the first Tuesday after the first Monday in November. This is Stephanie Haney, Legally Speaking. Religion and farming, who knew? All right, we can't get out of here without talking about the Powerball drawing, and we do know that a single ticket sold in California has won the record $2 billion Powerball jackpot. That's after 40 drawings without a winner. That's tied for the most drawings without a winner, by the way. They had to wait for it, though, because there was a 10-hour delay on Monday night's drawing. Unfortunately, there was some sort of an issue with one of the states that participate. So here are the winning numbers in case you got a ticket, because there are other prizes, and you never know, you might have been a big winner. The numbers that won were 10, 33, 41, 47, and 56, and the Powerball was 10. And we did have a big winner here in Northeast Ohio. Very close by, there was a $1 million winning ticket sold at a get-go in Lakewood. So check your tickets. All right, thanks for being here with us for 3 News Daily today on this Election Day. Remember, you can stay with us all day long on WKYC.com. Our shows begin again at 4 p.m. and we have a streaming election special that starts at 7:30. That's on WKYC Plus and the WKYC YouTube page. So we've got you covered on this Election Day 2022. Everybody get out there and vote. Have a wonderful day, and we'll be back tomorrow with more 3 News Daily.